This message may sound like a warning, but the angels are careful to say it is not meant to alarm you. It does not arrive to create fear or urgency. It arrives to offer protection through awareness. True warnings do not shout. They appear calmly, clearly, and at a moment when they can still help. What you are sensing now is not danger. It is guidance asking to be noticed. Archangel Michael speaks of this sign as a form of foresight, not judgment. Nothing is being taken away from you. Nothing is collapsing. Life is still moving forward. But there is a subtle adjustment being offered, one that can make your future smoother if you recognize it early. This is how protection works. It does not wait for damage. It intervenes while choice is still alive. The tone of this message is intentionally gentle because you are already sensitive enough to perceive it. You do not need fear to motivate you. You are capable of responding to calm awareness. The angels say this clearly. You are not being warned because you are failing. You are being guided because you are aware enough to listen. Many people associate warnings with punishment or impending loss. The angels dismantle that idea immediately. A true warning does not arrive after consequences have already formed. It arrives before momentum hardens. It appears while direction can still be refined. That is why this moment matters. Not because something bad is coming, but because something can still be aligned. You may have noticed small pauses recently, minor delays. A sense that something is slightly off timing-wise. Perhaps things are not moving as quickly as you expected, or a situation is not settling the way you imagined. The angels say these are not obstacles. They are signals designed to protect your future path from unnecessary strain. This sign is not dramatic. It does not disrupt your life or demand immediate action. It shows up quietly in ordinary moments. A hesitation before a decision, a repeated delay, an opportunity that looks right but does not fully land. The angels say this simplicity is intentional. Fear would distort the message. Calm allows it to be understood. Nothing is asking you to stop your life or retreat. This sign is not a command to abandon your direction. It is an invitation to refine it. A slight adjustment now can prevent significant misalignment later. The angels emphasize that this is about precision, not restriction. At this stage, you are not expected to solve anything. You are not being tested. You are simply being asked to notice, to observe where effort feels heavier than it should, where movement feels forced instead of fluid. Awareness itself is the protective act. The angels want you to understand this distinction. Being guided does not mean being blocked. Being protected does not mean being limited. Often, protection shows up as a soft pause that keeps you from committing to something that would later require great effort to undo. You may feel tempted to ignore this sign because it asks for patience. Patience can feel like loss in a world that values speed. The angels acknowledge this honestly. Waiting can feel uncomfortable when you want progress. But patience here is not denial. It is prevention. It keeps you from stepping into something that is not yet aligned. This message is not telling you that you are on the wrong path. It is saying you are on a path that can be made smoother with attention. There is a difference. One creates guilt, the other creates strength. The angels stand firmly in the second. Perhaps you have wondered why things feel slower, or why you seem to be revisiting the same point instead of moving forward. The angels say life does not always stop you. Sometimes it simply nudges you to shift your angle slightly. These nudges are signs of care, not resistance. What is happening now is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to lighten your future. Small awareness now prevents heavier lessons later. This is the principle behind the sign you are noticing. It is not a burden. It is a gift of foresight. You can ask yourself quietly where you may be rushing, where you may be overriding a subtle inner signal, where you may be pushing timing instead of allowing it. The angels say you do not need immediate answers. Even holding these questions gently is enough. This first phase of the message exists to settle your nervous system, Fear distorts guidance. Calm clarifies it. The angels say you're capable of holding this message without panic. That is why it has arrived now. Remember this clearly. A warning is not a prediction of failure. It is information offered in advance. Your future is not turning against you. It is being protected in small, thoughtful ways. The angels are not pulling you backward. They are helping you move forward with less friction. Do not pressure yourself to interpret everything perfectly. Do not blame yourself for not noticing sooner. Nothing has been missed. Nothing has gone wrong. You are simply being invited to pay closer attention. For now, all that is asked of you is this. Acknowledge the sign without dramatizing it. Notice without fearing. Allow awareness to do its quiet work. Because real protection does not come from panic. It comes from conscious attention. This message is not here to stop you. It is here to walk with you. And as long as you carry this awareness gently, the path ahead will naturally begin to soften. As the angels continue, they explain why this sign is appearing now rather than earlier or later. Timing is the key. A warning never arrives when everything is already fixed in place. It appears only when flexibility still exists. Archangel Michael says this moment matters because direction has not yet hardened. You are not past the point of choice. You are standing within it. Right now, there is still room to adjust. Decisions have not fully locked in. Paths have not closed behind you. This is precisely when guidance speaks. The angels say, if everything were already determined, there would be no sign at all. The presence of this signal confirms that your future is still responsive to awareness. Many people assume a warning means something is about to go wrong. The angels gently correct this interpretation. This sign is not announcing failure. It is preventing unnecessary friction. It is the difference between learning through strain and learning through insight. You are being offered insight first. You may have felt a subtle hesitation recently. Not fear, but a quiet sense of something is slightly off. This feeling is not weakness. It is intuition interacting with timing. The angels say intuition often speaks through restraint rather than urgency. It slows you just enough to notice alignment. The mind prefers speed. It wants progress, closure, certainty. Guidance, however, values precision over speed. Moving quickly in the wrong timing creates resistance later. The angels say this sign is not asking you to stop moving. It is asking you to move with more discernment. This is where your agency becomes important. A warning exists only where free choice still operates. If everything were predetermined, there would be nothing to notice. The angels emphasize that this sign is evidence of your influence over what comes next. You are not being controlled. You are being informed. Perhaps a door has not opened as easily as expected. Perhaps an opportunity stalled. Perhaps the same situation keeps resurfacing in slightly different forms. The angels say, this is not rejection. It is recalibration. Life is not saying no to you. It is fine-tuning the direction you are taking. At this stage, control will not help. Control tightens around fear. Awareness softens into clarity. The angels ask you to replace forcing with noticing. Control demands certainty. Awareness allows guidance to surface naturally. Timing can feel frustrating when you want resolution. But the angels remind you that early outcomes are not always aligned outcomes. Something arriving too soon can require far more effort later. Right timing reduces struggle. That is what this sign is protecting. Another reason this sign appears now is your readiness. The angels say you are capable of receiving subtle guidance without turning it into alarm. Earlier in your life, you may have interpreted this as blockage or threat. Now you can recognize it as information. This is not about correcting the past. It is about easing the future. The angels are not asking you to revisit old choices or judge yourself. They are supporting what comes next by making it lighter. If you are near a decision point, this sign is not discouraging action. It is refining it. It invites you to choose from calm rather than pressure. from alignment rather than urgency. Notice how guidance rarely arrives as a command. It arrives as a suggestion that feels quiet but persistent. That persistence is not pressure. It is care repeating itself until it is acknowledged. Waiting here is not passivity. Waiting is an active choice not to move in misalignment. The angels say this kind of waiting demonstrates strength, not hesitation. It prevents costly detours. You are not being slowed to test your patience. You are being slowed to protect your momentum. Small adjustments now prevent heavy corrections later. This is foresight in its gentlest form. You do not need to analyze the sign deeply. You do not need to name it perfectly. Simply recognizing that something is asking for more attention is enough. Awareness itself begins the shift. The angels say, you are balanced enough to hold this message without fear. That is why it has arrived now. You are not behind. You are exactly where awareness can still shape what comes next. Timing is not working against you. It is working with you. And this sign appears now because protection works best before strain begins, not after. All that is asked of you in this phase is to acknowledge what you notice. You do not need to act yet. Seeing is already a form of movement. The future is not closing. It is being gently guided into a more harmonious shape. And this sign is part of that care, offered while choice is still alive. As the angels continue, they explain what this sign actually looks like in daily life and why it is so easy to overlook. This sign is not dramatic. It does not arrive with urgency or disruption. It weaves itself into ordinary moments as subtle friction. The angels say this softness is intentional because guidance that frightens is rarely followed with clarity. You may notice it as repeated pauses, plans that almost align but do not quite settle, conversations that circle without resolution, a sense of moving forward while something gently resists. The angels say this resistance is not opposition. It is information asking for refinement rather than retreat. The human mind tends to label friction as failure, but the angels describe friction as feedback. When something is completely wrong, it collapses quickly. Doors close firmly. Paths end abruptly. What you are experiencing is different. It is a mild slowing, a soft redirection, a request to adjust angle rather than abandon direction. This sign often appears as a quiet internal response, a lack of ease, a subtle tension when committing, a feeling that something is workable but not comfortable. The angels say this inner sensation is the true signal. External events simply mirror it so it can be noticed. Because the sign is subtle, it is tempting to override it with logic. You may tell yourself that effort is normal, that discomfort is part of growth, that hesitation should be ignored. The angels say this is how guidance becomes easy to miss. Guidance does not argue. If it is ignored, it simply repeats more quietly. The angels are careful to clarify this. The sign is not telling you to stop. It is not asking you to withdraw from life. It is asking you to fine-tune, to adjust pacing, to clarify intention, to remove what is being forced so alignment can take its place. Many people expect guidance to feel inspiring or uplifting, but foresight often feels neutral. It shows up as something that does not quite fit. That neutrality is important. It keeps you from reacting emotionally and allows you to respond intelligently. This sign may also show up as repetition, the same theme returning in different forms, the same decision resurfacing, the same pause appearing before commitment. The angels say this repetition is not punishment, it is emphasis. Life repeats signals until they are acknowledged. What you are being protected from is not catastrophe, it is cumulative misalignment. Small mismatches that compound over time. The angels say catching these early prevents exhaustion later. This is why the sign appears now, while the cost of adjustment is low. Another key feature of this sign is that it does not drain you when you listen to it. Even though it asks for patience, it brings relief. When you slow down in response, something inside you relaxes. This is how you know it is guidance and not fear. The angels do not expect you to decode everything immediately. They are not asking for analysis. They are asking for observation. Notice where effort increases without satisfaction. Notice where movement feels heavy instead of clean. These observations are already alignment in motion. This sign also respects your autonomy. It does not force compliance. It offers information and leaves the choice with you. The angels say true protection never removes agency. It strengthens it. You are not being corrected. You are being supported. The sign appears because you are capable of making subtle adjustments without drama. Not everyone can respond to gentle guidance. You can. As you begin to recognize this sign, you may notice that pressure decreases. The need to push eases. You stop fighting timing and start working with it. This cooperation is what creates smoother outcomes. The angels want you to understand that guidance often speaks in the language of discomfort before it speaks in the language of clarity. Discomfort, its attention. Clarity comes after listening. You do not need to fear missing the sign. It is persistent, but patient. It will remain present until it is acknowledged. And acknowledgement does not require immediate action. It requires respect. This phase of the message invites you to treat friction as communication, not as resistance, but as refinement. When you do, the future responds with greater ease. The sign you are noticing is not questioning your path. It is helping you walk it with less strain. And the angels say this kind of guidance is one of the most protective forms there is. For now, simply allow yourself to notice where things feel slightly off without labeling them as wrong. That noticing alone begins the alignment the sign is offering. This is how protection works quietly, before anything needs to be corrected later. As the angels complete this message, they shift the focus from understanding the sign to walking forward with it. Awareness has already done its work. You do not need to solve anything today, and you do not need to act quickly. The angels say, protection continues simply by honoring what you have noticed. Listening to this sign does not require withdrawal or hesitation. It requires steadiness. When you allow small pauses, timing begins to align naturally. Effort softens. Decisions feel cleaner. The future responds not to force, but to early, conscious adjustment. You may notice that when you respect this guidance, life becomes simpler rather than more complicated. What once felt heavy begins to lighten. What required pushing starts to flow. The angels say this is the quiet confirmation that you are moving in alignment, not against it. This sign does not ask you to question everything. It asks you to check in with yourself before committing, to notice whether a step feels supported or strained. That simple awareness protects you from paths that would later require great correction. Patience here is not delay. It is precision. Waiting when something feels slightly misaligned prevents exhaustion later. The angels remind you that many difficult lessons are avoided not by strength, but by early attention. You are not being tested. You are being assisted. The angels say this sign appeared because you are capable of responding to subtle guidance without fear. You do not need urgency to move wisely. Calm attention is enough. As you carry this awareness forward, you may find that decisions resolve themselves. What is not aligned fades without struggle. What is aligned begins to come together with less effort. This is how protection works when it is accepted rather than resisted. There is nothing to fix and nothing to prove. You do not need to explain your pace to anyone. The angels say honoring your inner signal is an act of self-respect, not hesitation. The message closes with this reassurance. Small awareness now prevents heavy lessons later. Nothing is being taken from you. Your future is not under threat. It is being quietly guided into a smoother shape. You can continue forward without pressure. You have seen the sign. That is enough. The rest will unfold naturally, with less resistance and greater ease. The angels step back here, not because guidance has ended, but because it has been received. You are protected not by fear, but by awareness. And that awareness will continue to walk with you.